do 1 Corinthians 7, marriage 1 to 24, half of it. Now the matters you wrote to me about, it is good for a man not to marry. And even Christ confirms that. It's better. You think more of God and a woman. But since there is so much immorality, because you can't contain yourself, each man or woman should have his own wife, and woman and husband, and each woman her own husband. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife's body does not belong to her alone, but also to her husband. In the same way, the husband's body does not belong to him alone, but also to his wife. Do not deprive each other except for sexual gratification and need, except by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer, then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. I say this as a concession, not as a command, meaning it's better to be alone, okay? And the rest is self-explanatory. I wish that all men were as I am, what I just said, what he's saying, but each man has his own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. Now to the unmarried and the widows, I say, it is good for them to stay unmarried, as I am. Again, he explains that. But if they cannot control themselves, they should marry. For it is better to marry than to burn with passion, to sin. To the married I give this command, not I, but the Lord. Here's where the apostle adds another one for divorce, and it's scripture. So it's true. A wife must not separate from her husband, but if she does, she must remain unmarried or else be reconciled to her husband. And a husband must not divorce his wife. To the rest I say, here's what I meant. To the rest I say this, I, not the Lord, but it is the Bible. So it's doctrine. If any brother, Christian, or his wife who is not a believer, and she is willing to live with him, he must not divorce her. And if a woman has a husband who is not a believer and he is willing to live with her, she must not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband has been sanctified, made holy through his wife, and the unbelieving wife has been made holy through her husband. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, as is written. They're not holy. Okay? In other words, God makes you all holy because of the believer he protects. But if the unbeliever leaves, let him go. I believe a man or a woman is not bound in such circumstances. God has not called us to peace. Here he shows you can go and you can remarry, but in the church. How do you know your wife, whether you can save your husband or your husband your wife? Nevertheless, each one should remain in a place that the Lord has assigned to him, to which the Lord has called him. To this rule I laid down, meaning if you're a slave, stay a slave. Okay, and on he goes here. Okay, if you're single, it's good to be single. Okay, brothers, each one as responsible to God should stay in the situation God called them.